I'm Devorah Wallen, and I'd like to share my Tea for Two, my Torah thought, for 2 minutes more or less. Today, Monday the 19th of Cheshvan, is my illustrious mother's 10th Yahrtzeit, which is difficult to fathom. 10 years is a long time to be without Mom, especially this one. It's a significant number in the Torah, as many of us are aware. It represents wholeness and completion. This week's Torah portion, Chayei Sara, begins with the completion and passing of another unbelievable woman, Sara Imenu, our matriarch, Sarah. It says at the beginning of our portion, and the days of Sarah were 100 years, and 20 years, and 7 years. Some commentators explain this fragmented statement of her age, instead of just saying 127, reveals how she lived a very complete and fulfilled life. At each juncture, she accomplished what a person of the next stage would have accomplished. My mother was similar, an extremely accomplished woman, a leader in the Jewish community, a kind and philanthropic woman who volunteered for a myriad of organizations. She was like Sara Imenu, who reached out to those who needed the illumination of monotheistic values in those days. In this week's portion, after Sarah dies, Abraham sends Eliezer to find a wife for Isaac. He finds Rebekah at the well, who fulfills the signs he is waiting for. She is hospitable and kind, and goes with Eliezer to meet Yitzchak. After Yitzchak and Rivka marry, Avram remarries Hagar, whose name is now Keturah. He has sons with her who again are not of the same philosophy, and since the inheritance is going to go to Isaac, Avram sends Keturah's sons to the east with gifts. Rashi says these gifts relate to the wisdom traditions of the East. Scholars suggest this refers to Hinduism and Buddhism. Abraham dies at the end of the portion, and Yishmael buries him along with Yitzchak. You may recall, Yishmael is the son who was banished from the house due to his bad influence on Yitzchak. Even though these brothers were diametrically opposed in behavior and ideology, nonetheless, they had a common bond, their father Abraham. They both came to Hebron to bury him next to Sarah. Rashi says that by this time Yishmael had done tshuva. He turned away from his evil ways. Rav Simcha Zissel Brody from the Yeshiva of Hebron, where the matriarchs and patriarchs are buried, said the proof that Yishmael repented is in the same Rashi. It says that during the funeral for Abraham, Yishmael deferred to Yitzchak, even though Yishmael was older, knowing Yitzchak was the rightful heir to their father. According to the commentators, he walked behind Yitzchak in the funeral procession. Today, the world is topsy-turvy. Friends have become polarized, families split apart, countries are asunder within their own borders, communities are fragmented. Anxiety and worry seem to plague us on many fronts. However, Av Echad Lekulana, we all have a common father, the God of Abraham, the father of many nations. Almost exactly a year ago, the Abraham Accords were signed through the U.S. Department of State. This was a miraculous step in diplomacy for the 4 nations to sign this accord: the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. I see this as a foreshadowing of the promise given to Abraham that he will be the father of many nations. Additionally, it is the promise of peace between all nations and Israel through Mashiach. Here are a few of the inspiring statements from this declaration. We encourage efforts to promote interfaith and intercultural dialogue to advance a culture of peace among the 3 Abrahamic religions and all humanity. We seek to end radicalization and conflicts to provide all children a better future. In this spirit, we warmly welcome and are encouraged by the progress already made in establishing diplomatic relations between Israel and its neighbors in the region under the principles of the Abraham Accords. We are encouraged by the ongoing efforts to consolidate and expand such friendly relations based on shared interests and a shared commitment to a better future. Let us all try to find the common denominator, our common humanity. The monotheistic religions of Abraham have more in common than is focused on in what we see and hear in the media. Sarah and Abraham, our first matriarch and patriarch, modeled the attribute of loving kindness to be spread throughout the world. Since Av Echad Lekulana, we only have one Father, may we see the true camaraderie with peace between sisters and brothers, whether we are of the same or different mothers.